Jiggy's back with some floppy quotes. This one's from Alan Watts. Oof, Alan Watts, baby. I actually don't know what he is. The only way I regard him is that he is a philosopher of our time. Because, I've heard lots of talks by him. Not like I went to study it. It's just like sometimes, I get suggested talks by him by the algorithms placed in the World Wide Web, They put his shit in front of me. I don't know who he is. Is he famous? I'm not sure. I love hearing him talk. He's got that really old school, like 1930s, 90s, 40s type of accent. That American. I don't know how to do it. I can't emulate it. But it's kind of like they sound like they're always on the broadcast, like the Germans have crossed the border or blah 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 blah. I don't know. He's got that kind of. Wait, does he have that kind of voice? I don't know. In my head, I feel like that. He's got that grainy, golden era kind of voice to him. And I don't know, whatever he says, ooh, damn, that's deep. He's about to change your life, Just like give him 10 seconds and then you're already going to be like changing everything about you. And that's Alan Watts, right? Well, whatever. I got a quote by him. Are you guys ready? Ooh, I don't know if I'll ever be ready for him. But here we go. If we are to have intense pleasures, we must also be liable to intense pains. Oh, he's right, I know exactly what he means. This man, I feels him. I've been there too, brother. I've been there too. He's definitely... Wait, can you guys see that? He's definitely enjoyed himself the sweeter fruits. And thus, after having a bite, he knows how much it stings deep inside. When that fruit is finally gone. Oh, what these pleasures can do to you, what they do to a man. Only the strongest of us can handle such things. And sometimes only the strongest of us emerge from such pleasures. Because when we talk about pleasures, we're talking about things that make us feel good. And what's the most common thing that makes anybody feel good? Comfort. Sometimes we put the words pleasure and comfort in the same box. Of course they're not, because there are specificities to it. But when you've felt that comfort and you've put yourself, or you've been able to achieve a position where you can truly receive that sort of pleasure, just to be able to taste and smell that pleasure, that is a symbol of some sort of power that you have gained. It is a power just to be able to harness such a pleasure. And we all know, because Uncle Ben, is that his name, Uncle Ben? Yeah, I think UB, he said it himself. With great power comes great responsibility. Oh, that's a hell of a responsibility that you have to bear when you get that pleasure, that comfort, that joy. Not everything is free. Not everything. Sometimes things are free when we are lucky and we're fortunate and we know how to work several systems that are presented to us in life. I'm not saying everything involves a big burden, but there is a responsibility to it. Because too much of anything, of course, is poison. And of course, anything so good may have a greater cost. Do you hear that? Do you hear that train? That is a amazing piece of technology that we've had in our world for the past, 50 years, maybe 100 years. And that system of having a train, that's not free. And I'm not talking about the fare. I'm talking about the resources it costs, the time and effort and land we had to destroy just to create the tracks, the homes that might have been ruined, the habitats that might have been altered, the sacrifices, all the work that was involved to have that system, the consequences and risks that come along with keeping that system going. There's a lot to bear with such a joy, with such a pleasure. I love me the train. I lost my license, so I have to enjoy it even more. But yeah, who cares? I love it. I'm a horse. I love any sort of movement. As long as I'm moving, I love it. I'll be honest, being trapped in the box right now is actually pretty hard for me, but I'm making the most of what I can. Got my mic, got my camera, got my Phlopy quotes, whatever. But I do love me my movement. And, for example, the train, that is an intense pleasure. And I think we should all acknowledge that there is a great responsibility behind it. What I've heard about something that a lot of train drivers I think they have to do training for this, but I think they have to do training to be able to handle when people are killed by the trains that they drive, because apparently it's an extremely common occurrence. I know you might not have heard much of it on the news or anything. The news can't tell us everything. I know of so many deaths and so many murders that never even touched the news. The news never had the liberty to use for their own fame. Because a lot of people know, the government know, the police know, the people know. Some things are better left unsaid. For freedom, for joy, for that pleasure that we are apparently living in the most livable city in the world. There is a responsibility that some of us have to bear for that. Not everyone will know about that. Not everyone has to know about it. But there are those out there. There are those of us that carry that weight. But yeah, apparently it's a common occurrence that train drivers and tram drivers, they have to face the fact that there's going to be someone jumping in front of a train, or there's going to be people accidentally slipping, or other freak accidents. There's even some people out there trying to race trains and thinking that they can, compete against it. Some do, and some, I admire the courage. Like, rest in peace, Greg Plitt. Wait, is that his name? Plitt? I don't know. I used to follow him like when he used to do a lot of bodybuilding and workout things. I love his workouts. They're really intense, and he always had that full American attitude, like, oh, I wanted to be like him. He was strong. And sadly, he tried to race a train. Of course, he could beat the train, but I think something happened and there was a bit of an accident. It's not as bad as the media will make it sound. It's just, a guy knew he could do something, and he actually could. And he took the calculated risk. It was a well-calculated risk. But sadly, there was a slight mishap. He must have felt an immense, intense level of pleasure when he knew he conquered that train. Because he could say it. I, a man, a human being, just bet this object, this colossal object, in a race of speed. And he did conquer it. But sadly, what happened after, I don't think the train was happy. Or maybe God wasn't happy that humans were accomplishing such feats. We can say that in a romantic way. But of course, with that immense pleasure that he must have felt, salute to him, there was a responsibility that he knew he had to be liable for. So when this quote that Alan Watts speaks of, if we were to, what is it word for word? If we are to have intense pleasures,